You unlock this door with the key of compassion. Beyond it is another world, a world of science, a world of common sense, a world of sanity. You're moving into a land of both empathy and ethics, of nutritional knowledge and empowerment. You've just crossed over into Dr. Osborne's zone. Hi, good to see you again.
Great to see you too, Peter. Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I know you've been under the gun with castor oil and governmental constraints and restrictions, which I'll just voice my own personal opinion about a lot of that because of my historical experience with people using castor oil and the censorship of what you're allowed to say about it. It's really quite ludicrous and ridiculous. Again, these are my opinions, but let's talk about castor oil a little bit. What now that you've kind of come back from, I would say a roto-rooter from FDA. What are we allowed to say, and what are some of the potential benefits for the use of castor oil that would help people have less toxic lifestyle?
Awesome. Well, castor oil, as you know, and maybe not all people listening know, is a vegetable oil. So it comes from a plant and it's based from a bean. And so it's one of the most ancient plants. And one of the first person actually who started talking about castor oil was the original beauty influencer Cleopatra. So she absolutely loved castor oil. And this is what many people know, love, and use castor oil for, is the cosmetic purposes. So she would use castor oil on her brows, her lashes, her hair, her skin. Really is one of the staples of her beauty routine. And now, fast forward in the future, we're here now in 2020s. And what happens now, but we have a resurgence of castor oil, and everyone is interested in working with castor oil in terms of hair, brows, lashes. Most people come to know castor oil because they hear about it for like brows and lashes and hair. Most people think that it helps the brow, lashes, and hair to grow, but it actually doesn't help them to grow. What castor oil does is it's the most deeply hydrating and richly nourishing oil in existence, truly. Like if you feel castor oil, the touch and sensation of it is completely different from any other oil. Very thick, very viscous. And it's because of that, it really, really helps to nurture and moisturize and hydrate and give a lot of wonderful nutrients, such as like antioxidants like vitamin E. And then we've got all the beautiful omegas in castor oil. And it's got a beautiful physiological dose of iodine, which is nice as well too, right? As an added bonus. And so, castor oil has all these implications in terms of beauty. And what I've been really working with castor oil over the past years, actually inclusive of my castor oil pack practice, which I could talk about shortly, is that this has been actually like quite the long mission for me. And it started early on in my 20s, is to try to live as much of a non-toxic lifestyle as possible. Because early on in my 20s, I started working for a natural homeopathic pharmaceutical company called Heal. And they studied the science of homotoxicology, which was the study of toxins within the human system. And so at that point in time, I started becoming aware, and obviously my lens opened up so much more once I went back to school to become a naturopathic doctor. But I started to learn about things like phthalates and parabens and sulfates and common ingredients that might be in our shampoos, our body washes, our antiperspirants, our deodorants, our body creams, our nighttime serum, our like everything, you name it. There's so many different ingredients that are chemically based and adding to our total chemical load in our body. And the biggest issue is that people think, oh, well, if it's being sold, it's been regulated. And well, I'm here to tell you that people don't need to get an approval to sell anything. They can just start selling it in the United States. And in the United States, the other thing too is that only 8 ingredients are banned. Whereas in the EU, there's 1,300 ingredients that are banned. And in Canada, there's a few hundred, as well as I believe in the UK and in Australia. So we're really lacking, number one, in regulations in terms of cosmetics and ingredients that we're using and putting on our bodies every single day. And we're lacking the vigilance, right? There's a lot of vigilance in the natural health market, and I totally experienced that, over the past 6 months. Now, one of my passions, as well as working with castor oil cosmetically, is of course castor oil packs. And like I've used them for years in clinical practice. They were first popularized by Hippocrates, the father of medicine. But I'm really, really reduced in terms of what I can say about them now. And so, in a nutshell, what I can say about castor oil packs is that they're probably one of the most grounding self-care practices that we can do at home. And when people are working in intensive protocols or aiming to, like, feel better in their body because they're dealing with something, whether it's a chronic disease or it's an acute problem, um, people typically just don't feel well, and they're in a state of stress and in a state of, non-rest. And if your body can't rest, well, then none of your natural body processes are going to be actually able to work well. So you've actually got to shift the body into calm, feeling good, being grounded. Because when you're rooted, grounding is equivalent to being like rooted into the ground, like a tree is rooted into the ground. When you're rooted, you can rise and you can feel better. And so, castor oil packs are another one of my passions. And we use them typically in practice over the liver. Like I do a liver pack nightly, but then I also use packs cosmetically. So I use one over my eyes as a replacement for my nighttime eye serum and brow and lash serum. And then I'll often use one around my hair for my weekly like hair nourishing routine, which I'm kind of due because it's winter over here in Canada. I'm noticing my hair, especially along with hot head. I'm noticing it has a little bit of dryness, but yeah. So castor oil is really truly like a magical multi-use oil that can, for so many women, can simplify their beauty routine. And just like, let's start getting rid of the toxins. Like it's so imperative. I can't even emphasize how important it is. And it's not just beauty cosmetics, but it's like clothing. It's like, and my journey with my company, with Queen of the Thrones, actually exposed me. It would not be without Queen of the Thrones. I wouldn't be talking about things like toxic fashion and toxic beauty, because like I was aware of it, but I wasn't as aware as I am now. Because when I created the castor oil packs, I needed to learn all about materials and quality materials. And because castor oil is that master carrier oil and it can't sit in plastic, I started learning about basically cosmetic science in terms of what happens to, combinations of ingredients and or a sole ingredient like castor oil that's in a bottle, and what happens with heat, with time, with there's always leaching of plastic and everything. So, and oil just happens to be the perfect, vessel to carry things into the body.
A lot of those toxins are fat soluble, right? So the oil just draws them right in, and then if you're putting it on your skin, endocrine disruption galore, especially for women. And we have the largest hormonal dysfunction that we've ever seen across the board. And I think to your point, beauty products. I mean, men don't have quite the problem. Not to say they don't, but men don't typically use beauty products. Men just wake up and slap some water on it. But women, there's a, what do you got? You got a cleanser, you got a moisturizer, you got a mask, then you've got all the cosmetics that you put on the next day, and so it's just like a bathing in soup chemicals that really predispose women, I think, to autoimmunity. And we see that, right? We see that increased risk for autoimmunity is definitely higher in women than men. I think that's part of the reason. Anyway, back to your point about castor oil being a master carrier.
I agree though, like 100%, because the other issue is this. Like when we started working with castor oil at Queen of the Thrones, like my biggest thing in clinical practice, I'm much like you. I would only carry the highest, best quality products, like, and I would need to make sure that it was third party tested and it had to be like the very best of the very best. And the same thing is true in Queen of the Thrones, because for me, like I work, I consume castor oil a lot. Like I'm putting it on my face, on my eyes, on my brows, on my lashes, on my body. Like I'm liver everywhere. Like I'm putting it everywhere. So I need to make sure that for me, for my own safety and health, that it's a high quality castor oil and it's free of like things like heavy metals and pesticides and it's organic and there's no hexane. And so I've always been very, very strong at curating like a really high quality castor oil. But what happens in governmental regulations and rules is this, is that number one, if the ingredients have been tested, they are tested only individual. So I'm talking about things like makeup and body cleansers and different things like that. So say for an example, you have a aluminum, which is a common ingredient in eyeshadow. Get that? Aluminum is a common ingredient in eyeshadow. So we know that many companies have gotten rid of aluminum in their antiperspirants because they're toxic, right? And they've switched on over to like deodorants, or they've made different options because aluminum is toxic. But you find aluminum in eyeshadow. According to many of the different like beauty and health app aids, one like Think Dirty is one of them. They consider those metals actually safe. And they do because they've only really studied them in isolation. And they haven't really studied them like when you buy an eyeshadow or you buy a moisturizing formula, that whole formula is not tested together. And depending on what the ingredients are within the formula, if there's any glycerins, any oils, any certain alcohols, well, then that makes it way more permeable to the epidermis and it goes deeper down into the dermis. And so we're in a kind of a catch 22 that, if we really wanted to regulate the industry well, if we really wanted to make sure that the consumer was safe, we would literally have to spend millions and billions of dollars probably at this point in time. And so would companies. They'd have to incur the cost to actually test what their product does before launching it to market, right? Because it's not only that, so we don't know what the single ingredients do. They might be safe on their own in isolation, but may not be in combination. And then what we don't know is we don't know the long-term effect of, as you said, putting that soup on every single day. We just don't know the effect. The studies are all done over a short period of time. So then, it's a huge catch 22. And this is one of the reasons too why I love swapping for things like castor oil or single ingredients, because then if you're dealing with one single ingredient, well, there's no guesswork. It's simple. You know what it is. It's castor oil. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's really where I came from. And I started with castor oil cosmetically, really just going to the things that I use the most frequently, which was I tried daytime moisturizer castor oil. Castor oil does not work as a daytime moisturizer. It's too thick, so don't do that. That was my first try. But what I do recommend for daytime moisturizer are things like natural oils, right? Like all you need is a combination of natural oils like jojoba or any sweet almond oil, any kind of. I really love Camilla sinensis oil, which is like a green tea extract that's really high in antioxidants. So for the daytime, you're just looking for like a high antioxidant oil. But in the nighttime, there's a lot of things that we're doing. We're washing our faces, we're removing our makeup. And when we wash our face, we don't just use a wash or soap. We typically use a cleanser, a toner. So that's two products. We then remove our eye makeup, typically with toxic wipes or toxic eye makeup remover. And then we usually will apply a nighttime moisturizer on our face. So that's four products. And then we'll do an eye serum. And then we'll also do brow and lash serum. So
That's
that's
a lot of
about
work.
that's a lot of money. Six products. And it might sound like a lot of work, but when you get to be as good as women are at doing it, they're pretty fast at their nighttime routine. Like I'm skilled. Like I can do it like no problem. And with castor oil, I think that's even the even greater thing about castor oil is that it's even easier and it's even better to do because it's a lot more simpler. So I then started investigating like ancient texts. Did they use oil? And actually, if you look at ancient texts, they actually used oil to wash their faces, right? Because oil, like, what does it do? Like pulls like. Oil is a cleanser for the skin, right? So if you do like an oil face wash, you're actually cleansing your skin. And it's as simple as steam your face with a wet cloth, put a little dollop of castor oil between your hands, mix it together, it's a little bit of wetness on your palms, and then apply it all to your face. Put a little extra oil around your eyes where you might have extra makeup, and then take that same cloth and wipe it all off. And you've washed your face, you've toned it, you've removed your eye makeup, and you've done your nighttime moisturizer with that all in one. Imagining it's fast. And then
Sounds
for the
more like
nighttime,
it to me.
yeah, it's way simpler. And then for the nighttime eye serum, it's simply reapply more castor oil around the eyes and eyebrows and eyelashes. And then just wear a simple sleep mask to keep it containered around your eyes while you sleep. And so you've now saved yourself 6 products. It's simple, it's easy. You're not taking in anything like fragrance. Fragrance is an ingredient you always want to look on the label because fragrance is notorious for it being hundreds of different chemicals that manufacturers and companies do not need to list out because back in the day when fragrances were trademarks, right? So by law, you don't have to let people know what is in your fragrance. You can just say fragrance on the bottle. And that's where a huge amount of toxins come in into lots of beauty products. And then and tons of phthalates and again endocrine disrupting chemicals. And the thing with endocrine disrupting chemicals also is people think that you need an enormous amount of it, but you actually don't. Like people can feel benefit by starting to reduce their load in their beauty routine because it's actually our body works on hormones, not on massive doses of it, but on micromolecular doses of hormones. And so in these beauty products, one application of a high fragrance cream of some sort on your body, on your face, around your eyes can really significantly have an effect on your hormones in the evening before you go to bed and while you sleep. So that was a big reason why I wanted to start with my evening routine first and fix that one because there was too many chemicals coming in and I just wanted it to be simple. And because I'm, as you are well aware of how important sleep is for natural detoxification and for the body to clean out. I didn't want to overload my system at night with toxins from beauty products.
Well, and I agree. A lot of women, especially going perimenopause, menopause, their hot flashes are horrible. They're having severe weight gain issues, or they're having gas bloating. They're not being able to maintain their muscle. Their bones are diminishing. Their strength is diminishing. They're told they have osteoporosis. And here they've been lathering up in phthalates, which are chemical estrogens, right? They compete with your natural estrogen. And when you go into perimenopause, you're making less as a normal aspect of women's losing fertility, right? We don't stay fertile forever. So, but as you make less of your own, if you're inundating your system with these chemical estrogens, you're now creating the potential possibility of those chemicals interacting with estrogen receptors and creating increased risk for all sorts of problems, including the symptoms of menopause, but also, there's evidence of excessive estrogens creating changes in mood and creating disruption in the balance of the rest of your hormones, increased risks for certain types of cancers. So, it makes sense to me, and women are really the most vulnerable because, how old were you when you first started putting, all these types of things on your face as a regular course? 12, 13? What is the age now that, so you take a woman from that age all the way up into, 55, 60, menopause time frame, and how many chemicals are we actually bathing our face in multiple times a day? So I agree with you. You've got to reduce the burden. I think we're seeing that trend now, especially in the U.S. after the election. We were all really happy to see Robert Kennedy Jr. Being selected because I believe it's our next best hope and chance to see some meaningful changes in regulation of what absolutely should be being regulated and not, like you said earlier, the natural healthcare industry doesn't hurt people. It doesn't hurt you to use castor oil. And God forbid if you used it and your joints ached less. Now, we can't make that claim, by the way, but good for you. It's not going to hurt you. But these other creams and lotions and concoctions can. And I think where we need to really have good regulation and good awareness is around the chemical slurry versus just, God's given natural ingredients that we could all endeavor to do better with. So I love that you're on this mission, because to me, women need it, especially today, because beauty is important. And far be it from me, I'm not a woman. I can't put myself in a woman's shoes. I don't know how women feel. I'm not going to make that claim. However, I do have a wife, and I pay a lot of attention to what she does, and I pay a lot of attention to her frustrations. And at the end of the day, women need to be less exposed. They're more vulnerable, and the way around it, this sounds like a good mix of one aspect of what they can do to empower themselves to just remove some of that toxic slurry.
And I love that you say that, because it's so true. Like, you know, and in fact, I started using makeup a lot earlier. And the reason why is because I was in dancing and in pageants. So I was using makeup from like probably like like 6 to 7, right? And you can
Mm.
imagine and there's a lot of girls that dance, a lot of girls involved in pageants, a lot of girls doing all these things. And now with social media, it's really scary because our youth is being exposed. Like Sephora is one of the biggest trends on TikTok and on Instagram. And a lot of the products are toxic. Like there's a lot of toxic products, and a lot are doing something known as greenwashing, which happens in the natural health industry, which is, they're claiming it's clean beauty. Well, I walked into a Sephora. I went to the area where it was a clean beauty. I saw a clay product and I was like, great, it's clay. I love clay just on its own. I mix it with castor oil. I do like a clay face mask. Easy peasy. Or sometimes I mix it with egg, castor oil, and clay, and I make a face mask. And so I'm like, great, I was traveling. I'll get a little bit of clay and I'll go from there. But again, I take the package, I look at the ingredients, and it's all like, natural, organic clay. But then there's chemical after fragrance, after phthalate, after paraben in clay. Why? Like it to me, it absolutely doesn't make sense. And women, especially as we start to age, then we start to look ourselves differently. And women have typically been identified as, needing to maintain their beauty throughout their entire life. And this goes back historically. Like if you look at like Queen Victorian and you look back in the Victorian era, like they were using things like in makeup that were like things like lead, like to preserve like the skin, right? Like just absolutely crazy. Like talk about toxins back then. At least we're a little bit better now, but not much. Like I'm telling you, not very much, because there's nothing rather than people's dollars changing the communication that's happening with companies. And that's why I'm encouraging people to boycott and start to do a swap. Uh, by no means think you have to go in and like raid your bathroom cabinet and get rid of everything. Like you can do that, but that's kind of unsustainable for a lot of people. I highly typically recommend just to do swaps. So like my little nighttime routine, start with something like that. Start washing your face with castor oil. Okay, do you like it? And by the way, take a picture before, after, and when you wake up in the morning, and you'll see the difference in your skin. It's pretty spectacular, actually. And just the sensation of how your skin feels with the castor oil is absolutely beautiful. But start doing little baby swaps, because when you start doing little baby swaps, like I've been doing these swaps now for a while, and actually now this weekend I'm doing a big cleanup in my bathroom, and I'm literally like I have my list of not gonna use ingredients, and I'm gonna go through every product, and I'm literally gonna just dispose of it, because I'm now ready after having made multiple swaps. I just can't actually, like, I look at things and I'm like, I can't put that on. I know too much now. And I guess for me, I just want women to know and understand, because you know it's not just the cosmetics that are affecting them, right? It's also their clothing. Like it's not, and the pots and pans we use, and the cleaning agents we use, and the laundry detergent that we use. It's everything. So the places where we have the most power are by far in our cosmetics. Secondly, in our clothing, which most people don't want to look at. But I started down that road about 2 years ago. And now my closet is about 80% natural materials, only 20% couple of things that I would wear very infrequently. Again, because I know that most clothing is made of plastic, and I'm now reading labels not only on food, I read labels on beauty care products, some of them which are very, very small for my eyes to even see, and I have very good eyesight. And then I read labels on clothing too now. So basically, I've become an awesome label reader. And I'm looking for very specific ingredients, and I'm going to buy more of those because that's the way that I'm going to encourage the marketplace to change for me. Because we can literally boycott with our dollars. Like we can vote and change things. Well, we can vote with our dollars. So it's up to us to start to boycott and really start looking at the ingredients and not just be passive and believe what companies say. Ask for proof. Like we get questioned all the time. Can we see your third party testing with Queen of the Thrones? Yeah, absolutely, no problem. I'll show you for sure. Right? Because it's that there's got to be transparency there. There has to be for the consumer trust and understanding that the companies that they're choosing to work with are doing good for them and not just good for the bottom line. And I think that for me right now, in the society of like consumerism, which is like at an all-time high, you know, is to really understand like, let's start shifting over to quality. And quality is in simple ingredients. Castor oil, quality. Wool, cotton clothing, that's quality. It's not polyester or rayon or modal or all tencel, all the fun names they have to describe trademark, fabric that is basically made out of plastic. Like let's go for quality, not quantity. We'll all save money at the end. Initially, may certain things may be a bit more expensive. Definitely like looking for like all organic clothing or, even just all natural fiber material clothing is challenging to do, but it's worth it, right? Because at the end of the day, I could either be spending that money on chemical face wash, toner, eye makeup remover, nighttime serum, brow lash, which all, for some women, they're spending $600 to $1,000 a month on those products. I'd rather invest that in single ingredient, high quality, make some of my own things. And same thing with my clothing as well, too. And a note to the consumer is be very careful on Amazon as well too, right? Because in Amazon, there's also little to no regulations of what gets listed on Amazon. So as an example, let me just show you with my oil. So this is my oil bottle, organic golden castor oil, as you can see. And this is a copycat, organic Glodden castor oil that
Wow.
look at it. It's like they even have like kind of like a silhouette of the crown. Obviously, the quality is not as good as on the label, but they're literally trying to confuse the consumer to buy this. And this isn't even castor oil. I went and tested 13 products off of Amazon in castor oil, and the majority of them were not even castor oil. They were super low quality. Many were rancid. Like it's just you might not be getting what you pay for. Yes, you're paying for convenience on Amazon, the ability to return on Amazon, but if you buy straight from the vendor, I'll honor any of my products. I'm pretty confident most vendors would honor their products if there's a problem with it, and they would definitely do a return, you know. So it's buyer beware. Be buying your cosmetics, your natural supplements, and even some food things. I had on Amazon, don't buy them direct from the consumer. Like I had an experience with food. I bought these sprouted nuts, a really, really great brand. It's called Healthy Crunch. And I can only get them when I'm in the States. So the last time I was there, I purchased about 24 of them online from Amazon. And I learned my lesson again. I learned my lesson again because I received all of those nuts, and they're high quality nuts that are sprouted. And their expiry date was 6 to 8 months, but they were all rancid. And it
Hmm.
was likely because of where the products were stored at Amazon, right?
I mean, we pay for the convenience, but not necessarily
The
the
quality.
quality. And yeah, it's a one-click world, one-click buy.
It's crazy.
I don't put any of my stuff on Amazon for that. For that's for one of those reasons. I don't want I don't want. I want to be in control of the warehousing. I want to be in control of the distribution because I want people to, when they receive it, I want to be able to maintain the supply chain of everything. So if something's wrong, we can backtrack it, but we can also honor our product that way. Because I don't know, it's like, are they gonna take my probiotics and put it in an 80-degree warehouse, where it starts to deteriorate? Who knows? I can't control that part.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can't control it, right? So if you're unable to get the control at Amazon, fortunately with us, like we do distribute on Amazon as well too. And the main reason I chose to do that was because I was just getting tired of people getting access to really not good oil. So I decided I'm going to put it on there. And thankfully for castor oil, it has a higher ability to tolerate heat. So even if it does get into super strong warehouses that are very heated, castor oil has like 230-degree Fahrenheit resistance point. So castor oil is like if it has been oxidized, it's likely because at the source or over the supply chain it isn't a good quality oil. It was like a lower grade quality oil, which we found a lot. And when we did the testing of the different 13 brands, which is super interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not going to obviously name any brands because I don't want to get into anything legal there, but it was just eye-awakening. And for me, what I realized too, because castor oil is so trending, so what happened with castor oil is that castor oil started to trend big and then boom, like, these kind of copycats start popping out of everywhere. Like they're all over the place. Some even taking our castor oil packs and mimicking them like almost exactly, except the quality of the material isn't the same quality as the Queen of the Thrones, right? They're using like a cheaper bamboo. Bamboo, as a side note, even though many of us think that it is actually healthy material, bamboo actually is one of the more toxic materials. It might be natural sourced, but because bamboo, the cellulose fiber is so strong as steel and construction, it requires a lot of caustic chemicals actually to break down the cellulose fiber, turn it into fibers for materials. And then because it's eco-friendly, to add insult to injury, eco-friendly products typically go through less water and washing, right? And that's how they make it more eco-friendly because they use less water. And so in that case, what ends up happening is you tend to have residue on the bamboo material. And then most bamboos are blended with the rayon fiber. And then they claim they're softer than cotton. And they achieve that because they're blended with rayon, right? So that's
Mhm.
that's kind of the way that it goes. It's absolutely wild, like our world, right? I'm happy to make America healthy again.
Yeah, amen to that. So you have a nighttime routine you use. You kind of discussed that. What other types of ways would you encourage people to practice using castor oil to remove toxins from just their day to day?
Awesome. So this is a lovely practice that I love doing with a dry brush. So and this is my daytime practice. So my dry brush, I'll actually apply castor oil all over my body, and I do this before I shower in the morning. And then for those who don't know dry brushing is an ancient form of basically like movement for the body. It energizes, makes the body feel good, stimulates like circulation and the whole system. And so I'll have the castor oil all over my body and then I'll dry brush afterwards. And what that does is it makes the dry brushing a lot more tolerable, number one. And then number two, the castor oil absorbs into the skin and it's almost like you buffed your body. So that is a great swap for full body moisturizer. So I'll then jump into the shower and then I don't need to moisturize afterwards because my skin is so hydrated, which is the best part about castor oil on how deeply it hydrates. And that's why women, especially in like menopause and perimenopause, when their skin starts to lose all the hydration, that's why they really start to love castor oil. Like women in perimenopause absolutely adore castor oil. In fact, that's the majority of our consumer is the woman who is above like 35 years old, 40 plus in perimenopause and moving into menopause and beyond, because it just gives back life to the skin, right? And that you could do that on the body and you could do that in the face and in the hair. Another quick practice I love to do just to soothe myself during the day, or even like this for the if you want to go on superficial part, to have the appearance of a flatter looking belly, this is one thing that you can do is you can apply castor oil to the belly button. So this has been a big trend that has occurred on social media. But stimulation of the belly button on its own, again, this is an old Ayurvedic practice where, the vagal nerve connects into the belly button. So, and the vagal nerve turns on our relaxed state, which is quite cool. So if you're having anxious moments, stressful moments during the day, you can just do a little belly button castor oil, and that just, it's soothing. There's a sensation of soothing with the oil in the belly button, and it just kind of helps you to go along your day. So that's another way that I'll use it during the day. And then I have like a weekly routine with castor oil. Again, many people are familiar with castor oil for the hair. So on the weekends, I'll typically do like a self-care spa ritual day for me. Sometimes my husband will join in, which is lots of fun. And so I'll put castor oil on my roots, and then I'll put castor oil at the tips of my hair, and then I'll just, whatever's left over, I'll just keep on like brushing it through my hair. And then I use basically it's like a hair wrap. It's super simple, and it goes like this. Oh, let me just do it quickly. So you just place the wrap on your hair. You just stuff all your hair within the wrap, and then you sit there for about an hour. I'm not going to do it here. It's a little challenging with the video, or let me just tie it up. So you wear it for about an hour is typically all that you need. And with castor oil, though, for the hair, what I really want to encourage people to do is use less. People, we're again in that society mindset of, you know,
If some is good, more is better. Yeah.
Yeah.
more is better. No, 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 no. Less is better. Less is better with castor oil. Less is better. Because with castor oil, it's so, again, deeply hydrated and richly nourishing. You just need a little bit. So you just put, like, honestly, for my hair type, which I'm about a medium to a thin hair type, I'll use maybe a dime size to a quarter amount of castor oil for my entire scalp and my roots. And it's not that it helps hair to grow, which I was saying earlier on. What it helps to do is it helps to nourish and hydrate the scalp. You're going to the root of the problem, right? And the most important area to focus on is to make sure you have the scalp taken care of. And the purpose of this wrap is actually to create heat. No different than like a castor oil liver pack, where we used to put on heat on a castor oil liver pack. Now with the hot hair wrap, we naturally are creating heat from the head, and you don't need to add an extra outside source. And women, this is a great swap. If any woman out there remembers, guys too, VO5 hot oil hair treatments from the 80s and the 90s, they were the thing to do. I don't know if you were, I don't know.
I didn't do them, but I remember them. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you'd put this little vial and you'd put it in like a pot and you'd warm it up and then you'd put it all through your hair. Well, this is a lot easier, cleaner. There's no fragrance. Those hot oil hair treatments have fragrance. Again, source of phthalates, source of endocrine disruptors. It's going straight to your scalp. You really want to be careful. And because that, especially those fragrances in your scalp, that can be affecting your hair. It could be potentially one of the reasons why your hair it isn't as healthy as you would love it to be, right? So really like starting this up and then, getting into a good ritual with it. I follow this by washing my hair, usually with a good clean shampoo. My favorite right now is Wellness, the brand Wellness. They have a really, really nice shampoo, which is nice and clean. And there's no major fragrance smell to it. And I find it's great shampoo for like a non-conventional, natural, clean ingredient shampoo that actually works, right? And well, it goes without saying, nightly I'm doing my castor oil liver pack. So after I do my, face wash, eye makeup removal, eye serum, brow lash care, I also put my castor oil liver pack so that I can go to bed grounded, soothed, and like I typically do a meditation right before bed, in bed. And that's one of the ways castor oil packs has been one of the ways over time that has helped me to actually be even able to meditate, because before then my nervous system was so jacked up and so stressed out. I was never able to actually even relax enough to feel safe enough to do a meditation and kind of allow myself to be calm. So it's, castor oil and castor oil packs have changed my life in so many ways. It seems that every single day there's a new way for me to use it, and I'm learning more and more. And I'm really just here to now, advocate as, a former naturopathic doctor, a former beauty queen, really to advocate about clean, real clean beauty, not like fake clean beauty, but real clean beauty. And then, clothing that's free from plastic and is just natural and going back to our origins and our roots, which is where we'll be the healthiest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we've traded a lot of our health for convenience. The modern day convenience is just they just slowly poison us. A lot of them do, and we have clothing, cosmetics, fragrances, perfumes. You know,
Non-stick pans, right?
hygiene products. I mean, even if you look at the track record of soaps and triclosan and some of the other ingredients, like, oh, now 20 years after they've been pumping this stuff down our throats, they're telling us it causes cancer. It's like, at what point, do we really start looking at some of these ingredients? So I'm just a big fan of simple soap myself, and simple things. But that's easy for a guy. It's easier for a guy to say because guys just don't have the need to do as much of those types of things as women because there's just a
But I want to encourage the viewers to actually think that, what if that chemical soup is actually what is making you look worse and older and
yeah.
having more white hair? Like, what if, right? Like, I stopped dyeing my hair when I entered naturopathic college. So I went from dyeing my hair all the time to completely stopping any chemical color or anything in my hair, just because I learned about the toxicity of dark coloring. And I was typically going with like a red, and then I didn't want the bleach because that's also toxic. And so I just decided I'm just going to go without hair dye, right? So my sister is almost completely white. She's 4 years older than me. And I have but she continued to dye her hair. I have speckles of white hair. Sure, part of that might be she takes more after my mom than I take more after my dad. But what is the impact, like, of cover up, that we're trying to cover up our wrinkles, but it has a lot of chemicals in it? Is it not maybe only making those wrinkles deeper and more apparent? And on top of it, effing up, messing up your hormones, right? So then you're in this place of you can't get any better because you're just constantly bringing things into your system, and the buck has to stop somewhere, and we just have to choose ultimately. Like, do we want to keep pumping ourselves with chemicals, or do we want to live a more natural lifestyle?
Yeah, agreed. And hair. I just saw it's a paper that came out on some of the ingredients in shampoos actually designed for hair restoration, actually being causes of hair loss. And then the same company comes and sells you the hair tonic for the hair loss. It's like a I don't know. It's like a game. Let's create what's the classic? It's create problem, create fear, create panic, and then be the person solving the panic, right? So you create your own opportunities, so to speak, but in an unethical, immoral way, and at the cost of people's healths and people's well-being. And I think it's really tragic that we're here in this place. But I'm glad that you're here with good products that people can use and really kind of make that shift. To me, it's a low-hanging fruit shift that every woman should be considering. How do you reduce your toxicity? I know just in my own household, my wife very rarely puts on all that makeup stuff, and she tries. And that's what she does. But again, everybody's got a different opinion of it all. But if the more you can avoid the toxicity, the better.
And that's the thing too, right? Like, I want to give people guidelines because I think that that's the most important thing. And if you have a couple of guidelines and you can just go by those, you can be in a good place with this and you can feel comfortable. Because I also don't want to scare people or scaremonger them. Like, I just want to empower. Like, I remember when I started learning about all this, and I was like, ooh, I really got to one point. I remember being like kind of really anxious about everything, and then being like, man, I probably have to go like live in a plastic bubble And then I'm like, oh, wait, it's a plastic bubble. I can't live in a plastic bubble. It's off gas. So in reality, what's happening in our world with like the whole ozone layer, we literally are living in a plastic bubble. Like we're in a soup of chemicals here, right? Like there's a barrier to the outside atmosphere with the ozone layer. And literally what's in our air are a lot of different toxins, right? So we can't get away from everything. So we need to have strategies to be able to at least lessen our load. And how I like to say it is also pick your poison, right? Because there might be that one eyeshadow or that one lipstick that you absolutely love and you can't live without it. I know I've been there. And until you find a great replacement, you're not going to go anywhere. But so that's fine. Then you are knowledgeable, you're going and taking the step forward and you're picking your poison. So that's number one. Pick your poison. Understand that you might not be able to get rid of everything, and there may be some things that you're going to have problems letting go of because you're just so used to them, and that's okay. Just stick to it. Pick your poison, just try to reduce around it. So as an example, like I've switched my blush. This is my blush. It's like a natural, I bought it in England because it's cleaner and it's in paper cardboard. So I would prefer if all cosmetics would be in glass or in paper would be the ideal instead of being in plastic, because if they have oils in them, the plastics are going to be like leaching into the product. However, we're not a perfect world. So you might need to buy some products that have really, really clean ingredients, but they may not be totally packaged in the way that you would love them. Okay. So that's one example. And that's what I would say with Wellness, their shampoo. It doesn't come in glass and it doesn't come in paper because it can't. It's in the shower. So if we want to have it in the shower, it actually needs to have, it either would be glass, which could be dangerous because imagine that falling in your shower. And then, so it has like a health friendly plastic container for it. So that's good. That is like low leaching product. So that's a good thing. So you're picking your poison, you're picking your packaging, right? Do the best you can. You're always reading labels and big key highlights to look on labels, which is what kind of guides and directs me. I don't want parabens. I don't want sulfates. I don't want any fragrance, which pretty much everything has fragrance. I don't want wax. If wax doesn't specify that it's like beeswax, it's typically a paraffin wax, which is made from petroleum. So if you just start there, that's a good springboard because you can start to look at your shampoos, your conditioner, your face wash, your toners, your moisturizers, and you'll notice like the fragrance thing will be probably one of the most things you'll pick out every time. And then, a lot of companies are becoming a little bit more conscious, and so they'll be paraben free. But again, if is fragrance, there could potentially be parabens in the fragrance, right? Because there's phthalates, so there could be parabens also. So, and they again, the companies do not need to disclose. So that fragrance on the label is probably one of the most important things to get out. Aim. So again, pick your poison. It can't be perfect. You won't be perfect. Pick your packaging. Make it in the cleanest of packaging. And then always read your labels, look out for fragrance, and then buy from the trusted source, number 4. And that would be, try to avoid places like Amazon and go direct to the store, to the website of the product that you would love to buy. And then create a relationship with them, because ultimately I think the biggest shift that is happening in this world at this moment in time is that people are looking for community, and a community that they actually trust. And I want to encourage you guys, like there's companies out there that you can trust, like Queen of the Thrones, like Origins Healthcare, Dr. Peters, like you could trust that, right? So start to align yourself and create those communities within those brands that you trust, because together we're really on a mission to shift this all together. If there's more companies buying glass, well, then there'll be more glass bottles produced, and glass bottles can actually be recycled. Most plastic containers and plastic jars can't be recycled, although, they tell us they aren't. So, it's like when you start to align yourself with the right energy and the right people and the right brands, and you've got these guidelines, this will at least help you to start in your cosmetic area to be able to really like start shifting and start making a change every day, because it's what you do every day that matters. It's not what you do that one time to go to the gala event. It's what you do every single day that matters.
Yeah, little habits create big outcomes.
You got it. Yeah.
Do you have any kind of guides or anything that that you have for castor oil use that you could share with our audience?
I do. I have a beauty swap. So just beauty swap in general, including some of the brands I spoke about today, like wellness and such. So I have that document, and then I also have how to do castor oil swaps. So it's basically all the different routines I spoke about, and how to swap them out. So we can definitely get those and link your people to that.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. And if people want to follow and learn more, at Be Well Queen on YouTube, YouTube is where I really delve in. I go into the deep and dirty of toxins in cosmetics, in clothing, and how to work with castor oil, because I feel like castor oil is one of those unique single ingredients. I'm sure eventually along the way I'll probably add in more of my other favorite ingredients that I like to work with as well too. But castor oil right now has replaced so many things for me, that I just think it's the most important one to get into your routine if you're trying to shift on over. And it's probably one of the most affordable one as well too. Right. So Be Well Queen on any of the different platforms, YouTube for my long form.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me today. This is always enlightening, always helpful. A less toxic world as we move forward.
Very important. Yeah. For all of our children, grandchildren, do you have any grandchildren on the way?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe soon. Maybe soon. My oldest is married, so they've been married almost 2 years now. So.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah. No pressure. We try to keep the pressure low.
Yeah, no one needs any pressure about that. It'll happen in divine timing, right?
That's it. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Marisol. Thanks so much for sharing. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in to the Dr. Osborne Zone. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more content like this. And make sure you come back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time and Thursday at noon 30 for more episodes.